Alright, welcome back to Otakuspect. I'm Rune, I've got Nova here, and we've got our new friend Scout here on the line with us, and we're going to be talking about Binding of Isaac Rebirth. Some of these items you may find that are actually in the original Binding of Isaac, but we're talking specifically about Rebirth and their effects of the items, so if there are any items here that have different effects from the original Binding of Isaac, we're sorry, but this may not completely apply to y'all. So, as you know, Binding of Isaac is really famous for, obviously, its very strange gameplay and strange enemies, but also for the extensive amount of items and what the items do and the very strange items. So, in this episode, we're going to be talking a little bit about some of the treasure room items, and there will be a segment at the end for special items that have effects that you can use in the game, such as there's options, revelations, and the Book of Belial, as well as 3 of the Devil Room items, which are very strange in usage, and while normally can only be found in Devil Rooms, there are lucky chances in which you can find them in other rooms, which we'll be going over later. So, for the first 7 items, we'll be talking with Scouts. Scout?
Alright, this is Scout with 7 items you can find in the Binding of Isaac Rebirth. One of these items is known as a $3 bill, which can have a random effect. One of these examples could be freezing, another fear, homing, poison, or piercing. Another one of the items you can find is the pony, which grants flight and a quick and vulnerable charge attack that deals strong damage. Another one of these items you can find is known as Dr. Fetus. With this item, you can shoot bombs. It is good for finding items in secret rooms or blowing up machines or beggars. There's also the bombs have a fuse time, so you need to time your bombings wisely. Another one of these items is known as chocolate milk, which allows you to charge up a single tier to deal high damage, or you can just spam the button to shoot a bunch of little, less effective ones. Another one of these items is known as the Holy Mantle. This is a shield that is good for 1 point of damage. It's good for taking into cursed or spike rooms with no damage. However, you do take the damage if you go into another room, you regain the shield bonus. Another one of these items is known as the Ivy Kick. It is explosive tiers which do not require a fuse time or just timer. The last item on my list is known as the Leo. You can use this to stomp rocks, mushrooms, boulders, or poop. Warning, mushrooms may explode into gas harming you, and blood rocks may explode into blood. Bomb rocks will explode as well, so be careful.
Hey, this is Nova, and these are the 7 items on my list. So we have Monstrous Lung, which can charge a short barrage. Each tier is normal damage. And Mom's Knife, which is my favorite, which can pass through enemies or objects, highest damage possible, and will replace tiers, but you gain effects from items. You can shoot in every direction and can be pointed in any direction without shooting to kill, and Mutant Spider, which can shoot up to 4 tiers, a bit slower, but with shielded tiers, it can add and form a wall against tier shots. And another one of my favorites, which is Tech Point 5, that adds a spontaneous laser and can shoot out at your opponents, kind of like Brimstone, which I think is really interesting. And number 5 on my list is Ludovico, which is kind of like a giant chair that you can control as if it were a player. And when you use other things with it, like Brimstone, other such moves, it can help to amplify it into almost like a ring, which becomes a really destructive power. And even though you can't rapidly fire like with regular tiers, kind of like with Mom's Knife, it allows you to give sort of an infinite defense as well as an infinite attack. And you don't have to worry about pushing the buttons as often. Another thing is Thunder Thighs, which is basically the same as Leo. And Transcendence, which gives you flight early on in the game. It basically allows you to fly, which means that everything on the ground, such as poison and other such things, don't really affect you as much as they do before. Some things that you can avoid altogether.
Alright, I as well have 7 items, however only one item belongs to the same item pool that Scout and Nova have been talking from, which is the treasure item pool. My 7th and final item on the treasure pool is the Epic Fetus, which can shoot out a missile much like Dr. Fetus. However, the missile can hurt enemies upon contact without even exploding, so it deals extra damage. And when buffed with many other items in the game, you can get it as powerful as to take out Mega Satan in a total of 6 shots. 3 items that do not belong in the treasure room item pool, but 2 of them can be found in the treasure item room pool or in the shop, as well as in secret rooms games, and even in Devil Deals, are the Book of Revelations and the Book of Belial. The Book of Belial will power you up for a single room, but however, the price is that you will get a devil room or an angel room on that floor, depending on whether or not you have already taken a devil room and then not gotten any item out of it. Revelations, the Book of Revelations, in fact, will give you 1 soul heart upon activation, and it will change the boss for that floor to one of the 4 horsemen. However, because each level of the game is repeated once, so you'll take the basement twice, you'll take the caves twice, you only get to summon a horseman for one of those 2 floors, so it doesn't really help to try to get it every single time. The catch is with the Book of Revelations that once you defeat a horseman, they will always either drop a cube of meat or a ball of bandages, and as soon as you get the first horseman and it drops a cube of meat, you will only get cube of meat and you will never see ball of bandages. Same with ball of bandages. The fact here is that you can get 2 achievements out of this Super Meat Boy or Bandage Scroll. By getting 4 cubes of meat or by getting 4 balls of bandages, you will be able to build a familiar. The first upgrade will give you a cube of meat or a ball of bandages. For now on, I'll just start saying the meat one. And that'll give you an orbiter that will take any shots and will severely damage any enemies that are close enough to you to touch it. The second upgrade will turn that little orbiter into a little head that will actually shoot along with whatever direction you're pointing. Once again, this head can severely damage enemies. The third upgrade will change this into a little familiar that walks around, and if you get close enough to an enemy, that familiar will go and run into the enemy, severely damaging it, and will stay there and keep running into it until the enemy is dead. It will then make its way back to you, however, if any enemies are within distance, it will go kill them as well. The fourth and final upgrade will make this familiar as big as you, and this familiar will deal massive damage to any enemies nearby. This is very good for boss enemies that are stationary or cannot jump out of the screen or go underground. Now, the third and final item that you do not get in Devil's Room, and you can't even get this one in Treasure Room, you must buy it from the shop after upgrading your shop with money from a donation machine. This item is called There's Options, and if gotten early on in the game, every time you defeat a boss, you have a choice of one or another item instead of just getting a single choice of one item that emerges from the boss. These items will always will be from the boss pool, however at the same time, you can actually choose what you want, so if you have full health, you don't have to get just another dinner and get another heart, which is useless. You can also choose to get something else which can upgrade your defenses or your speed. The last 3 items on this list for this episode are 3 items that you normally find in the Devil Rooms for Devil Deals. However, you can also find these items in Secret Rooms, Super Secret Rooms, sometimes Treasure Rooms if you're extremely lucky, most of the time Cursed Rooms or Challenge Rooms. Brimstone, which is known in the gamer community, is a laser that can shoot a massive blood laser barrage and kill enemies and go through objects. It is very, very strong, and you can upgrade it, such as with Mutant Spider, to have 4 beams going out at once. Of course, the price for many of these upgrades is that Brimstone becomes a bit slower by charging up. However, you can deal some massive damage with it. Lord of the Pit, which is an upside-down cross item, which will give you flights and allow you to gain access to other areas in the game where a key might appear, as well as allowing you to fly over spikes and red creep, which will harm you. This is also very good for whenever you have enemies in the game who are stuck on the ground and cannot fly after you, such as the maggots. The final item on this list is Spirit of the Night, and personally one of my favorite flying items. Spirit of the Night will allow you to fly, however, all your shots will be downgraded a bit, but they will also be able to pass through any object, so you can stand on a rock and shoot enemies from wherever you want in the room. This item is extremely good because it allows you to fly and gives your shots ability to go through any other object. However, the price to pay for this is generally through a double steal. You don't see this item very much in rooms, even less than Lord of the Pit or Brimstone, in the Cursed Rooms or Secret Rooms. Well, that's all the items that we have on this list. I hope you all really enjoyed this episode and maybe even learned something. If you want to look for these specific items in-game and you're not finding them in treasure rooms, just remember that you can press R or the restart button if you've changed it and hold it down until you get treasure rooms and keep restarting the games until you get these items. I hope you liked this episode of Otakuspect. Maybe we'll put more episodes in the near future. This has been our favorite items of Binding of Isaac. Thank you so much for watching. Follow us on YouTube. We swear we'll try to follow you guys back, and thank you. You the real MVP.